Let's see. We need to get a roll call. Jason, please.
Trustee Mayhem.
Here.
Trustee Brown.
Here.
Trustee DeVelli.
Here.
Mayor Kreitz. Trustee Lamont.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem March.
Here.
Trustee Padilla.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem, you have enough report.
Okay, great. Thank you. Could I get everyone to please join me? Stand and join me. Remove your hats. Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Do we have an approval for the agenda?
I don't believe there's any changes.
Any changes? None? Nothing? Okay. All right, do we have any special presentations tonight? Nothing? We have anyone here to speak? Public comments? Nada. I don't see anybody. Holy moly.
Let's keep this momentum.
Dang, I'm liking this. Woohoo! All right. We shall then move on into our staff reports. First, we'll start with Brian. Brian, you're up, brother.
Yes, Mayor Pro Tem, members of the board. I just really want to call a couple of things to your attention on the calendar, and we'll work to make sure that it's more detailed in regards to the in the staff report. We also have a whiteboard over here that we're going to put in the parking lot. So as things come up in the meeting, we'll make sure that that's out there to prepare for the mini retreat. There's quite a bit of stuff that I know that we've heard from a number of board members and Mayor Pro Tem and Mayor that want to discuss at the mini retreat. So just keep that in mind. For next week on March 19th, we will be doing a comp plan update. That's where we're really going to get into the nitty gritty of the comp plan development review standards that we've talked about. So as the board thinks about what you want to see in regards to that, this is going to be an important meeting. So we'll probably be starting at 6 o'clock, and we'll have food, and we'll probably be here for a couple of hours to go through some of that information. Other than that, if there's any questions in relation to the admin report, I'm happy to entertain it.
None for me.
Anybody? Nothing?
Nothing.
Okey doke. All right. Thank you, Brian. Thank you, you and your staff, for continuing to do a great job for us. We move on to our consent agenda. Do we have anything, any additions, changes, deletions, anything for the consent agenda? If not, I need some direction.
Mayor Pro Tem, I would like to, excuse me, accept the consent agenda as is.
Second.
Trustee Padilla.
Yes.
Trustee Brown.
Yes.
Trustee Mayhem.
Yes.
Trustee Lamont.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem March.
Yes.
Trustee DeVelli.
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0.
Outstanding. All right, moving right along here to our action agenda. Gee, this is going nice and smooth, isn't it? All right. First item here is Resolution 24R11, and it is involving the approval of the intergovernmental agreement between us and the town of Firestone. You're up.
Mayor Pro Tem, Board Trustees, before you tonight for consideration is the Weld County Road 13 and 20 Intersection Operation Improvement Project, IGA, with the town of Firestone. Do I need the clicker? Clicker.
Yeah.
All right, this fits the town's strategic plan for strategic, reliable, and sustainable infrastructure, with the town actively engaging in opportunities to enhance our transportation infrastructure through identified projects in the Transportation Master Plan. Details of the request. This is for the Weld County Road 13 and 20, Colorado Boulevard and Bella Rosa in Frederick, and Pinecone in Firestone. This is a Tier 3 short-term project and was ranked as the second highest intersection identified within the Transportation Master Plan. This request is in conjunction with the DRCOG Southwest Weld Sub-Regional Forum Award to the town of Frederick for the fiscal year 24-27 Sub-Regional Surface Transportation Block Grant, Transportation Improvement Project Grant, with the acronyms there, in the amount of $2,059,000 with $516,000 in local agency matches. The local agency match was agreed to be split 50-50 between Frederick and Firestone, totaling about $258,000 each as our contributions towards the project. The IGA establishes this contribution as well as establishing a 50-50 match should there be any funds in excess of what was approved in the grant. And it also included updates to TABOR requirements for future appropriations. Design of the project will encompass some right-of-way acquisition through the jurisdictions and municipalities, including improvements to the intersection itself to make it into the ultimate configuration, improving the south and west legs of the road, which are the town of Frederick's right-of-way, in order to build those out, as well as improving the north and east legs, which are in Firestone, to build out the northern half and make some pedestrian improvements to the eastern half in order to connect the neighborhoods, the residential areas there in the north that don't currently have pedestrian, enable them to be able to cross the street safely and get to the trail over there, either Legacy Trail or Firestone Trail, depending where you're at. Before you is and in your packet is a conceptual layout of the intersection. So you can see the full build out of Bella Rosa Parkway to the west of the intersection. Currently it's just a 2-lane road. This will add center left turn lane as well as right XL and decel lanes in order to get on or off of Colorado Boulevard. It'll also add a southbound acceleration lane on Colorado Boulevard, a northbound acceleration lane, and a deceleration lane for southbound traffic, as well as making those pedestrian connections here for as much of the trail system that we can in that area. This is a conceptual layout of existing right-of-way and property lines in the area. So currently, obviously the Bella Rosa Golf Course is here, so that's our property. The town of Firestone owns this property as well as these 2 parcels north of the intersection. And then we have one county property here at the northwest corner that we'll have to work with for the project. Considerations and alternatives, excuse me. So the Weld County Road project was previously approved with the IGA with CDOT on January 9th. This IGA codified the pledge with the local agency support, and the town of Firestone has indicated that any further consideration of the project would be at a date to be determined. The town can choose to deny the IGA and solely fund the project, or not move forward with the project and forfeit the grant.
So this was what the email was about earlier today. So if we approve it, there's no guarantee of if or when Firestone is going to approve it.
Correct. And Trustee Brown, the intent was just to provide an update to the board that that's Firestone's current position, is that they're pretty much stopping anything that is in relation to Frederick until we solve the storm drainage issue that we talked about, which we do have a follow-up meeting on the 26th with the board that we'll talk about in more detail. But yeah, that's, at least from their staff level, that's their current stance. I do think it's important just in terms of us sending a message that we receive these funds from DRCOG. This is a huge impact to the community, to the larger regional community, and so we want to continue to move forward with message.
So approval tonight doesn't necessarily mean that we would be ending up having to pick up the difference if Firestone doesn't come to the table. That would certainly be an option that we could discuss in a future date if they choose not to. But it does make it so that all that has to happen is for their approval to move forward. If ultimately they continue to be obstinate, we could choose not to do the project, and we would have that discussion with you all again at a future date if that's what ends up happening. But this keeps the process moving so that we don't have to keep going back and forth. As you recall, this was previously slated for last meeting, and it got moved because we were still waiting to hear back from Firestone.
So it's safe to say that we are getting no cooperation from Firestone.
They've communicated frustration on a stormwater issue on the other side of town that's impacting them, and they don't feel comfortable moving forward with any other projects unless and until that issue is resolved.
And just to clarify, I think you said it a moment ago, their staff is doing that. It is not anything their board is directed.
Correct. Trustee Brown, I don't have any information. That information came directly from their staff, and their staff alluded to their bosses, which would be my peer over there. So I don't know, or I don't believe that it is coming from their
So
level.
no elected official,
Correct.
simply people that are hired to work for the town of Firestone.
As far as we know.
Okay.
I think it's a really important project because anywhere where we don't have sidewalks, especially on a road that busy, I think is, I can't imagine living in that community and not having a sidewalk to just go across to the golf
I
course.
live there.
Right? How is it, right? So I think
Yes.
I think anything that we can do to move it forward for safety, for just outdoor recreation, for
Overhead remediation.
for residents of this town, because our residents are driving into Firestone, they're driving into Frederick, and so if we just keep the residents in mind and move forward, I think that's the right thing to do.
And I'm sure if you polled Firestone people, they would say, I am tired of that darn thing backing up a mile between 4:30 and
Oh,
5:30. It's
a nightmare.
ridiculous. Way back into Firestone.
Nightly area. Nightly and in the morning also.
Yeah.
It backs up constantly. And I agree with what Trustee Tavelli and Trustee Padilla said. I think we owe it to the communities, to make sure that this happens and that we work cooperatively with Firestone on that.
My personal feeling on this is that we need to move this thing forward. As Trustee Tavelli and Trustee Padilla and Trustee Lamont have all said, I am disappointed once again that we can't seem to get something done with Firestone to get a cooperative effort. So we'll continue to do that too. But I also feel the same way. This is too important, and the residents of Frederick, I can't speak for the residents of Firestone, but the residents of Frederick deserve better than bickering between two government agencies. So that's just my feeling on it also.
Yeah, there was no doubt that, I would definitely move forward and want to have this done. I'm tired of with kid gloves. So I mean, is there any way that if we approve our part of the IGA tonight, that we can make it as exceptionally public as possible, that we are excited about this project, we want to move forward, and we are looking forward to hopefully future cooperation with, just make it as public and positive as we can on our end, that might, I'm willing to risk some political clout on this to push forward, and hopefully that someone on the other side will have that foresight to say, hey, we've got to put aside these petty, ridiculous things and do something for our citizens. Because I think I've had to drive on that road far more often than I have lately, and I was like, this is insane. This needs to be fixed. I was like, I can't imagine here as it being, but is there something that we can do? Because I get the feeling that everyone here is going to go for it tonight, but if it does get approved, is there any way to make it public and positive? Like, hey, we want to move forward. We want to.
Sure. I mean, I think we can We
Want
can
to be a
always
community in
get a
motion
hold
and
of our
just still there.
we can get a hold of our communications team and put out some
Because the
information.
truth is, if anything happens in any of these three towns, all three towns know about them. So if we can make it as public as possible, that the Frederick board would more than like to cooperate with Firestone if this is improved, and say that we've done our part to move it forward. Maybe that puts some pressure on them.
We have a grant sitting there.
I mean, there's like, yeah,
I agree.
it should
If
be a
there's some
no.
way we could get a hold of Renee in our communications, put something out and, with all the pomp and circumstance we can, that'd be great.
I agree with the spirit of it. I just don't want to put our staff in the position of having to write something that is perceived as putting pressure, because I think that's kind of our role as the board versus staff role in terms of the tone of what's written. So I think just being careful of that, and making sure we're not putting staff in a position where they need to become political, because should be us becoming.
Yeah, and that's why I said I'm willing to, if there's a way that staff can help me as a board member for the town of Frederick, that my vote, if we approve this tonight, I'd be happy to go out there and say, Trustee Kevin Brown, we really endorse this. We're looking for. I'm happy to put it with my name, and make sure that anything that goes out comes from me or any of us, so it's not the staff is announcing it. I agree. I'm willing to do whatever it takes, because this project should be an absolute no brainer and should be moving forward. And it's absurd and idiotic that you would cut your nose off to spite your own face on this one, and that's exactly what that seems to be. So I'm willing to put my name out there. If I can get directed which way to go to put stuff out there, I will keep our staff out of it. But this has got to stop it. It's time to say knock it off.
I think what would be helpful is talking points,
Yeah.
like general talking points that all of us can get and can kind of be on the same page. Would that be, that way in any conversations we can say, what's the date that we want to get this construction started, right? Just some of the things that residents would kind of want to know, like when are we going to have a sidewalk, that type of thing.
If we can't get any legs that way, I'll stand with the sign out there for a little while between 4:30 and 5:30, and we'll get all the support we need.
And no one will miss
I like
that.
it. I like it.
Look at everybody with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get some talking points. And we can put some just general information out there that, hey, here's the project, here's the timeline, just very neutral, and let it sit. But we'll get talking points too.
Now that
Thank you.
Colby's gone, I had a question for Colby.
Oh, here he comes back. Oh, you shouldn't have come back. You shouldn't have come back.
I know. I noticed a sidewalk in the golf course, kind of stopping in the middle of the golf course. Or
Yeah,
Already
so
there.
that's just a
already
conceptual,
It's already
it connects to existing, rather than continuing to draw
Okay,
an
gotcha.
existing sidewalk.
Because where
Okay.
where the sidewalk currently sits goes all the way up to the intersection. It would have to be realigned.
Right,
There-
yeah.
You're gonna put a sidewalk all the way down on the north side of Bellarosa?
Yeah, that would be the intent, is to go as far as we can to the west while still being within the scope of the grant application to improve
There's nothing to
pedestrian
go
safety.
to over there. It's just, there. I thought he meant
to
on
the
the north.
south. I was thinking to the south in the golf course.
Oh, sorry, I apologize. I've removed this with conversations with Colby. We're
Okay.
gonna emphasize trail connection elsewhere within the Gulf FRA area. So I've actually removed that portion of sidewalk from the RFQ that I have to go out.
That makes sense. Thanks. Okay. Thanks, Colby.
Okay. All right. Any other further questions? Comments? If none, then we need some direction.
Mayor Pro Tem, I'd like to suggest that we accept Resolution 24-R-11, a resolution of the Town of Frederick, Colorado, approving an intergovernmental agreement between the Town of Frederick and the Town of Firestone for Weld County Roads 13 and 20 intersection operation improvement project.
Trustee Mahan,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem March,
Yes.
Trustee Brown,
Yes.
Trustee Padilla,
Yes.
Trustee Tavelli,
Yes.
Trustee Lamont.
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0.
All right. Outstanding. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Jason. Okay, moving right along, we will move into address Resolution 24R15. And I think that's Jason also. So
The
go
rest of
for it.
Is me. At least the action item.
Ah, you got all three, yeah.
So before you tonight is consideration of award for the contract of the 2024 Pavement Maintenance Program project. This aligns with the town's strategic plan of strategic, reliable, and sustainable infrastructure by investing and improving our current transportation system. So to maintain the town's existing roadways, the town engineering department uses pavement maintenance system to assist in the evaluation of the town's roads and the pavement condition and serviceable life. You may have noticed last year a town van riding around that was doing an assessment for that. So we've got new data, which is really cool. So the pavement maintenance program determines from this evaluation which roads need to receive treatment. So typically you do the ones that are a little bit worse off before the ones that are in really good condition in order to prolong their service life. There is a website available on the town's web page that kind of shows you the history of the pavement maintenance program as well as a 5-year lead. So I know the mayor last year really wanted to see that, so that's something that the town staff has put together. The maintenance of pavement and asphalt will preserve the integrity and extend the roadway life in order to reduce future treatment costs. In this year's project, we have a 1.5-inch mill and overlay, roadway striping, thermoplastics, and patching work. So mill and overlay will complete Tipple Parkway that we've been working on the last couple years, as well as address Windham Hill Parkway that's east of the roundabout on Aggregate Boulevard. We also have patching identified in Windham Hill subdivision, Meadowlark Business Park, Savannah, and various other locations as identified by engineering staff or public works as they arise. The invitation to bid was issued on the 29th of January and advertised for 2 consecutive weeks. Bid opening was the 21st of February. 6 bids were accepted, and Asphalt Specialties Company was the lowest responsible bidder at $326,545. So we have some project map areas. This is Tipple Parkway, the last segment to be completed. Windham Hill Parkway, Windham Hill patching areas, Meadowlark Business Park, Savannah, and then of course various locations. There's a lot. So considerations and recommendations. The project amount of $326,000 was budgeted within the Capital Improvement Project Fund, and the total amount is $950,000. Between this project and the one you'll see just after this, the 2 projects totaled $822,000. So we are under budget and have available funds to increase quantities in some of those, either crack seal or patching wherever we want in order to utilize those funds to address more roadways this year. Staff recommends that the board approve the contract to Asphalt Specialties Company and approve the attached resolution 24R15. Are there any questions?
off the top of your head, just give me an information, without going into that. Where's Bella Rosa sitting on this?
Bella Rosa Parkway has a good pavement condition score, but a rather low ride quality score. So it's kind of like Colorado Boulevard a couple years ago. The roadway's okay, but it doesn't drive very well. So you feel those bumps. So from a pavement condition, it's in like the B category. It's in the 80 range of PCI. So it's definitely something we could address, but there are other roadways in town that score higher to address sooner.
All right. Anybody have any other additional questions or comments or anything for Jason? If not, we need some direction.
Mayor Pro Tem, I move that we approve Resolution 24R15, resolution of Town of Frederick, Colorado, to award a contract for 2024 pavement maintenance program and authorizing the town manager to execute the contract.
Second.
Trustee DeBelli,
Yes.
Trustee Padilla,
Yes.
Trustee Brown,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem March,
Yes.
Trustee Lamont,
Yes,
Trustee Mahan.
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0.
Fantastic. Moving right along here to Resolution 24R16. Jason, continue your great work here.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem and Board of Trustees. Before you tonight, again, is for consideration for award of the 2024 SEAL project of the pavement maintenance program. Again, this aligns with the town's strategic plan of strategic, reliable, and sustainable infrastructure by investing in the town's existing and future transportation needs. So again, the town does our pavement assessment, and we determine roads that need certain pavement treatments for rehabilitation. And this specific project deals primarily with seals. So that'll be your crack seal, mastic crack seal, slurry seal that's involved with this year's project. In other projects, you also see chip seal and so on and so forth. So because of the nature of this type of project, there's really only 2 contractors that do it in the state. So we break this project off from the other one to get more competition and get better bids for the town and for our taxpayers. This year's project includes crack seal within Wyndham Hill subdivision, Carriage Hills Filing 1, Country Meadows, and Parkview Estates. And then slurry seal in Rin Valley Ranch that we crack sealed a couple years ago, as well as Coleridge Estates that we crack sealed last year. So that's kind of our project progression as it goes for pavement maintenance. So the invitation to bid, again, was issued the 29th of January and advertised for 2 consecutive weeks. Bid opening, again, was February 21st. 2 bids were accepted, and staff is recommending approval to Vance Brothers Incorporated as the lowest responsible bidder at $495,800. And some of the project map areas, we have Wyndham Hill here, Carriage Hills, Country Meadows, and Parkview Estates, with Brophy up here, which isn't really part of that subdivision, but we'll hit that as well. And this is an area where we could very easily increase quantity to utilize some of that project savings in order to go through our pavement maintenance cycle so that we can slurry seal these or chip seal them in future year projects. And then Rin Valley Ranch and Coleridge. So again, this project at $495,000 combined with the other one totals $822,000, which is under our budgeted amount of $950,000. And staff is recommending award of the contract to Vance Brothers and approval of Resolution 24R16.
Okay. We're not going to do any chip sealing this year?
Not this year. In residential areas, because of the tighter wheel turning radiuses, chips tend to break off. They're good in industrial areas or commercial areas because you have to close the road for a shorter period of time so you can get traffic on them. But in residential areas that we're addressing this year, slurry seal is better long term. You don't have the stuff that gets washed into the curb and gutter, so forth.
All right. Okey doke. Do we have any other further questions or comments for Jason on this?
Is there usually $157,000 discrepancy between a bid for something like this? Like, are they undershooting severely or?
No, this is very similar to last year's bid submission for these exact two companies. One was a lot higher than the other, and between last year's and this year, they both came down. So
That's a good thing.
I overcompensated with my conservatism in bidding, which it's better to be under budget than over budget, but
Thank you.
Anything else? If not, we need some direction, please.
Mayor Pro Tem March, I move to approve a resolution of the town of Frederick, Colorado to award a contract for the 2024 seal project pavement maintenance program and authorizing the town manager to execute the contract resolution 24R16.
Second.
Trustee Lamont,
Yes.
Trustee Tavelli,
Yes.
Trustee Padilla,
Yes.
Trustee Brown,
Yes.
Trustee Mahan,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem March.
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0.
All right. Jason, thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, everybody. We will move along here and get our mayor and trustee reports. I don't have anything, but do any of you have anything you want to speak of or talk to or?
We had a youth commission meeting last night, which unfortunately I was unable to attend, but Jason Myers was able to attend and can give us just a short detail of what happened.
Sure, yeah. So just a brief update. One of the things that the Youth Commission is working on with Anthony is they've got spring break next week. And so what we've offered as the town, giving those youth commissioners an opportunity to shadow a town of Frederick department. So that can involve spending a half a day with the department, just seeing how things operate, anything between economic development, the manager's office, attorney's office, the police department was very popular on the list to potentially go do a ride along and things. So Anthony's working on coordinating that with the departments to make sure that we have appropriate things for the kids to be involved in and not, go sit in an unemployment matter or something like that. But so they were pretty excited about that. Very excited. One of the kiddos is actually going to be on a cruise, and so he was lamenting that he's going to miss the opportunity to sit in planning because he's really excited about those types of things.
Pretty cool.
So that was kind of the highlight of the meeting. They approved their agenda or their minutes and had a report based off of when they were here doing their bylaws. And so I think there's still 9 vacancies on that group out of the 20 total. And one of the things I'll be looking at doing in the future as we get towards the end of the school year is what does matriculation look like and how do we keep it active and full of teens so that it doesn't just kind of fade away into obscurity. But that's it.
Great. I think our youth commission is, everything you guys do is absolutely fantastic. I feel my own personal opinion is maybe in its own way, the most important thing that we do as a board, working with our youth and doing everything we can to communicate with them and get them involved in what it is we do. So thank you to all of you that work so hard on this.
I guess I forgot to mention, it was encouraging to hear their reports in terms of they are going to the other boards and committees and commissions. So I know we had one in attendance at the Arts Commission today. One of them has been to the Planning Commission, the Historic Preservation, so they're doing their part, as it were, to be involved. So I think there's opportunities for them to continue to feel comfortable and participating, but they are going. So that's a good step.
Well, we have one that's involved with the Historic Committee. Her name is Nora, and she's pretty cool. She's pretty awesome, and I welcome the opportunity to be able to work with these young adults. I think that's so important. So, it's really great to see that. Continuing kind of on that, I do have one thing. Sunday afternoon, we had a Girl Scout troop here. And if some of you saw some things on where you sat, it's because we had some Girl Scouts sitting up here being trustees. I have a origami that one of them made for me. And I think Mark had a bunch of little sticky notes that were put on there. So if any of you found something weird or strange, or yeah, that's because you had a Girl Scout sitting. They did great. It was awesome. Mayor Kreitz was here, and Brian and Jason came, and between the four of us, we were able to fulfill what they wanted, and it was just awesome. So if any of you get a chance to do something like that, there's nothing in the world like having 9, I want to say about third graders, all of them, Girl Scouts, girls, all in here at one time, trying to talk to them and get them involved. So it was great.
Mayor
So
Pro-
thank you guys.
Mayor Pro Tem, the question I have is, did they share any Girl Scout cookies with you?
They didn't bring a one,
Oh.
not even one. I was really disappointed in that one. But no Girl Scout cookies. They didn't have any. But yeah, there was scouting is different than when, of course, I was in there 50 years ago. But we had the scouts that were here. We had some from Firestone, some from Frederick, and even a couple from Thornton that were in this troop. So it was, kind of a surprise, but it was great. They were kids, and and some of the questions we got from them were amazingly pretty good, and well thought of questions. So it was definitely worth it to see that.
Hearing a 10-year-old talk about whether or not there's going to be a return on investment for the town was pretty fun.
Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah. They made some statements and things that were, I mean, you wouldn't have thought a 10-year-old 11-year-old kid would do that, but they did. So it was awesome. And again, Jason, Brian, thank you for being here, both of you. It was great. Appreciate it. Okay, we have nothing else. No one has anything.
Yeah, I'm gonna meet with the executive director of Dr. Cog tomorrow morning, and I'll send you guys an email with the website. There's a lot of things on Front Range Passenger Rail and the I-25 North Commuter Rail happening, and that sort of line kind of goes through part of Frederick, and so I know Kevin and other members of the team are going to begin to be engaged, but I'll bring back any information to Brian and to you all. So
Super. I saw that on the news, and I was wondering if that was going to be part of us. So that's awesome. Thank you very much.
I think it's going to be maybe many discussions and maybe a study session, because where the lines are drawn doesn't really take into account some of the recent planning maybe that we might have done too. So
Okay.
it'll be fun.
Can't put that train there.
Okay. Well, that's at least it's something. They started talking about doing this many years ago, and Longmont had a sales tax that was put on them for this very thing a long time ago. They paid into, and then they were told that they wasn't going to be built. Well, now it's back on the table again. So let's hope it gets done. It's needed. So
I'll believe it when I'm riding the train.
yeah, I don't think I'll live long enough. I don't think I'll get to see it. So
It's nice to see they're planning, several decades in advance instead of trying to figure out how to do it in an already built environment.
true.
A challenge.
Interesting. Thank you for being there, Wendy.
Mayor Pro Tem, recently a former trustee passed away, Liberta Haddle,
Oh,
and in the obituary, um, it stated that she had been a major or a force behind the minor memorial wall and that. And I was wanting the board or direct the staff about maybe looking at a memorial bench or something like that for that area of the park that could be used as a contemplation bench or some sort of memorial bench dedicated to Liberta's Miss Addles.
I've been working with her a little bit on the historic committee, and I knew that she had passed away, but I didn't know that she had been a trustee. That's yeah. Can we look into doing something like that, Brian?
Trustee Lamont and Mayor Pro Tem March, absolutely, and we've done that for other former trustees that have passed away. Just, I think we have a memorial bench out on the golf course. So yeah, absolutely. We'll, if you have contact with the family, or we could reach out to figure out where and what that gesture would look like, and like you mentioned, the best location. Absolutely, we'll get that taken care of.
I have her phone number.
I've been they're neighbors of mine.
Oh, are they? Okay,
Yeah,
great.
and so I can go over and talk to her husband Mike and
Okay.
her sons and see what they would like to have.
Okay, yeah, that would be great.
I'm not sure they.
I had no clue she had. I didn't even know that she was a trustee, and I'd spoken to her probably 4 or 5 times on the phone about the historical committee. She was huge. About 25 or 30 years ago, I think it was. They did have a historical committee in the town here, and they were pretty active and so forth. And then for some reason, it just went and disappeared. So, but she was a big driving part of that.
Mm-hmm.
So she was a local historian, I think, also. So that would be awesome if we could do something like that.
Now, I'll make an effort to get over to the houses the next couple of weeks and see what I can get information to Brian
Yeah.
and Jason and that, and see what we can do and see what they might like to have.
Okay. Great. Mark, thank you very much.
She's a neat lady. She was a neat lady.
Yeah,
I
I
met
mean,
her very
Did you meet
early
her?
on getting here in Frederick as a teacher. So
You got to meet her?
several times and had lots of conversation with her. Passionate,
Yeah.
deeply devoted to this town.
yep, she's a lifelong resident.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd talked to her on the phone, like I said, probably 4 or 5 times, and I'd never got to meet her because her health was failing. And every time I talked to her, she was either in the hospital or going to the hospital. And I was, upset that she was gone before I ever got a chance to meet her. So she was an awesome lady to talk to about Frederick. So, okay, yeah, if we could do that, that'd be great. Okay, is there anything else? Anybody have anything else? Nothing? Well, thank you all for being here. Staff, thank you all for your great work and continuing efforts, and the meeting is adjourned.